Have you noticed how many out-of-state license plates are showing up in Greenville, South Carolina lately? BMW just announced another $1.7 billion investment in their Greer plant, while neighborhoods like Five Forks are seeing homes sell within 72 hours of listing. And stats show Greenville's real estate market is actually beating the national averages in both sales volume and appreciation, while other markets are slowing down. In this video, I'll reveal the 3 critical factors that could send home prices soaring in 2026 and why that $400,000 house today might cost you over $500,000 if you wait a few years, and why you might want to look at buying a house now if you are on the fence. Let's dive in. Greenville has quickly become one of the fastest growing metro areas in the Carolinas, and that growth isn't some temporary spike. What we're seeing is a steady stream of people moving here from all over the country, and they're coming here for a reason. So, who's actually moving to Greenville? You've got retirees looking for all 4 seasons without the harsh winters. You've got remote workers who want fast fiber internet. You've got families who want great schools, security, and neighborhoods that still feel like neighborhoods. And Greenville is still way more affordable than places like Asheville or Charleston, but the gap is shrinking fast. Asheville's median home price is sitting around $490,000. Charleston's is $581,000. Here in Greenville, we're still hovering around $322,000 for now. Problem is, we simply don't have enough homes for the people who want to live here, especially those 3-bed, 2-bath homes under $450,000. That's the sweet spot for most families, and when one hits the market, it's usually gone within days. Multiple offers, minimal negotiation. That's the reality right now in a lot of neighborhoods here. You might have heard that the national market is cooling off, and it may be, but in Greenville, that's not what's happening here. We're still in a strong seller's market across most of the county. What that means is buyers don't always have the upper hand. In highly rated school zones like Five Forks and the Wren school districts, homes are selling in 3 days or less and usually above asking. I don't think it's a short-term trend. This trend has been going strong for 3 years, and month after month, we're still seeing low inventory. Even with all the new construction happening all over the county, demand is outpacing supply. There's a metric we use called months of inventory. It tells us how long it would take to sell all the current homes on the market. A balanced market would have 4 to 6 months of inventory. In Greenville, homes under $500,000 are sitting under 2 months. And that tight supply doesn't only affect buyers, it's also pushing more people to consider homeownership because the rental market's not doing anyone any favors either. Rents have jumped about 3 to 4% every year for the past 3 years. At some point, people look at what they're paying and think, why don't we just buy? And that adds more demand to an already tight market. Quick pause. If this has you rethinking your whole timeline, or if you just have questions and we haven't met, my name is Meredith. I help families from all over buy and sell homes right here in the Greenville, South Carolina area. So reach out if you are considering buying or selling. I'd love to help. So what could push things even further? Let's take a look. Why prices could explode. Let's talk about what could really send home prices soaring over the next few years. The first one is population growth. Greenville County is expected to add over 100,000 new residents by 2035. Imagine that. 100,000 new people means around 40,000 new households. If builders manage to crank out 4,000 homes per year, and that's ambitious, it would still take a full decade to meet that demand. And that's if we didn't grow a single person beyond what's already forecasted, which, let's be honest, we probably will grow beyond that. And it's not just anyone moving here either. We're seeing buyers from New York, New Jersey, California, Illinois, all places where the average home price can be nearly twice what it is in Greenville. So when those buyers show up, they are coming in strong. They can offer cash, they can bid over asking, and they're not blinking at our prices. If that sounds intimidating, don't worry. In a few minutes, I'll show you how local buyers are still winning even in these ultra-competitive markets. It all goes back to who you work with. Next, let's talk about the job market, and this is a big one. one. Greenville isn't only growing in size, it's growing in stability. BMW's massive plant in Greer is a $15 billion investment with over 11,000 local jobs. And they just announced another $1.7 billion push into electric vehicles. Michelin, my former employer, their American headquarters is right here. They have multiple facilities and a huge footprint. You've also got GE, Prisma Health, and the inland port in Greer, which is the largest inland port in the country. They're all doing their part too, and this is creating so much more than just jobs. These companies are bringing in high-skill, high-wage roles. Add in Clemson University's CU ICAR campus, a major magnet for engineering talent, and you've got a pipeline of innovation and income that feeds right into the local housing market. Let's talk about lifestyle, because Greenville's strength goes beyond our economy. This is the kind of place people are genuinely excited to live. Downtown has been called one of the best small city towns in the country. Falls Park on the Reedy is stunning, and the Swamp Rabbit Trail's 22-plus mile greenway connects neighborhoods, schools, and restaurants, making Greenville feel close-knit and active in a way most cities dream about. But what really seals the deal for so many people is our access to the outdoors. In under an hour, you can be hiking in the Blue Ridge Mountains, boating on Lake Kiowee or Jocassee, or hitting top-rated mountain biking trails. And right here in the city, there are over 40 parks. Yes, 40 parks. Whether you want a disc golf, a dog park, a playground, or a picnic table in the shade, you've got options. And our climate is pretty great too. We've got 4 seasons, but none of the extremes. Winters are pretty mild. I think it gets cold. Summers are warm but manageable. Yes, we have humidity, and spring and fall are absolutely amazing. This is especially appealing to retirees and people like me who want to escape harsh winters, don't want excessive heat and humidity, and want to be able to get outside year round. Let's not forget about taxes. South Carolina is tax-friendly, especially for homeowners. Property taxes are relatively low, especially on owner-occupied homes. If you're 65 or older, the South Carolina Homestead Exemption Act lowers your tax bill even more, and there's no tax on Social Security income in South Carolina. For retirees, this is huge. Then there's all the new development on the horizon. Close to Verde, which sits on the Swamp Rabbit Trail, 1,100 acres are being reimagined into a massive mixed-use community. Unity Park, a $61 million public space project, is already lifting property values nearby. Ridgeway Station in Malden is a full-blown urban village in the making, and that's where our pro soccer team is going to play. Luxury buyers, you've got options too. The Cliffs are expanding with mountain, golf, and lake communities that rival top-tier resorts around the world. Hartness, created by the family behind Hartness International, is becoming one of Greenville's most talked about and most beautiful neighborhoods. And Hollingsworth Park keeps climbing in value, and it's in a great location. Don't sleep on County Square. That 37-acre stretch in downtown is still getting a full $1 billion makeover, and they're not done. Offices, housing, retail, walkable, everything. It's completely reshaping that part of the city, and when it's finished, prices around it are going to reflect that shift. So, when you take all of this that Greenville has, the jobs, the lifestyle, the scenery, the tax perks, the development, and you mix it all together, you're looking at a city that's been slowly heating up for years, and now the water's starting to boil. If you wait too long, the neighborhood you're looking at today might be out of reach tomorrow. But let's not skip over the full story, because while the momentum is strong, there are a few things that could tap the brakes, and they matter a lot. What could slow prices? Now, let's take a breath and look at the other side of the coin, the things that could potentially slow down price growth right here in Greenville, South Carolina. Because yes, while the outlook is strong, no market moves in a straight line forever. That's been proven, and I want you to have the full picture. Let's start with interest rates. They're probably the most immediate wild card. If the Federal Reserve decides to hike rates again in a meaningful way, that could take a bite out of affordability. We already saw this back in 2023 when rates crept up over 7%, and boom, activity slowed almost instantly. Trust me, not prices, interestingly enough, but the number of deals definitely dipped. Here's a quick way to think about it. Every 1% increase in mortgage rates chops roughly 10% off what someone can afford. So, if you qualified for a $400,000 home at 5%, that budget might drop to $360,000 at 6%. That's a big shift in affordability. But sometimes when rates rise, people don't sell. They hang on to their homes because they've got a super low rate they don't want to give up. I'm talking to you, all you folks that refinanced in 2021. That lock-in effect reduces inventory even further, which can keep prices from falling even if fewer people are out shopping. Let's talk about something that doesn't get as much attention: affordability for local buyers. Greenville's median household income is around $65,000, and yeah, that's low. And with prices climbing the way they have, we're starting to bump up against what a lot of local families can comfortably afford, especially in the more popular school zones and central areas. That's where some of the lesser-known suburbs start to shine, and we're going to talk about those in a bit because they're quietly turning into the best bang for your buck. So this is where the affordability index comes in. It's basically a way of measuring whether the average income can support the average home price. And when that index gets stretched too far, the market tends to tap the brakes a little. Prices don't necessarily fall, but they do slow down until wages start to catch up. Another thing buyers don't always factor in is insurance. South Carolina's insurance is certainly not as dramatic as Florida's, but rates have gone up, especially for wind and hail coverage. If you're looking at older homes or certain roof types, you could be looking at possibly an extra $200 to $300 a month tacked onto your housing cost. It's more than your mortgage. It's the full monthly cost of living that really matters and you need to be aware of. And while we're on the topic of strain, let's talk infrastructure. It's a question I get a lot. Roads like Woodruff Road, 385, and Wade Hampton Boulevard, they're certainly feeling the pressure. School districts in some areas are stretched thin. Suburban sprawl is making commutes longer, and while the county is working on improvements, things like widening 85, upgrading Woodruff Road, and building new schools, that's all going to take time. Another challenge is utility infrastructure. Some of the areas seeing the most development, like parts of Fountain Inn or Southern Simpsonville, don't yet have the water and sewer capacity to handle huge growth. Extending those services isn't cheap, and it could slow down the pace of new construction or drive up prices on brand new homes while we catch up. Here's the thing though, even with these possible headwinds, the core issue hasn't changed. Demand is still running ahead of supply. That imbalance hasn't gone away. And Greenville isn't like some cities where growth can simply sprawl forever in all directions. We've got mountains to the north and west, lakes and protected land to the east, and only so much usable land within a 30 to 45 minute commute. That creates natural limits on development. So yes, interest rates might bounce around, insurance costs might rise, thank you Hurricane Helene, infrastructure might lag behind in some spots, but when you zoom out, the long-term picture is still very strong because people want to live here and there just aren't enough homes for all of them. And that brings us to the part that really matters, how all of this impacts your next move and what buyers like you need to know right now, what this means for buyers. Here's the bottom line. If Greenville is on your radar, whether you're moving for lifestyle, for family, retirement, or remote work, waiting will almost certainly cost you more. Let's run a quick scenario. Let's say you're eyeing a $400,000 home today. If prices appreciate at 5% annually, which is conservative, that same home will cost around $510,000 in 5 years. At 7% appreciation, it jumps to $561,000, and that doesn't even factor in higher interest rates or increased insurance costs. If you're a retiree, this becomes even more important. You've got a chance right now to lock in a great home in a beautiful, tax-friendly, four-season town while it's still relatively affordable. Even a short delay could honestly mean paying $50,000 to $100,000 more for the same property. Remote workers, same idea. The freedom to live anywhere is a privilege, and Greenville is quickly becoming the choice for people who want charm, access, outdoor living, and affordability. But that window of affordability could be narrowing. And for families, buying now doesn't just make financial sense, it gives you a shot at the best school zones, shortest commutes, and a neighborhood that feels like home before prices shift the playing field again. I know there's always that worry. What if I buy at the top of the market? Here's the thing. People said that in 2018 and in 2019 and in 2021. And guess what? Those homes are now worth significantly more. So even if prices wobble a little in the short term, the long-term trend here is clear and it's on the way up. Greenville is changing fast, and the window to get in before the next big price jump is narrowing. Whether you're moving for lifestyle, work, retirement, or want a fresh start in a new city that's on the rise, now might just be the time to act. The longer you wait, the more competitive and expensive this market becomes. If you're thinking about buying or selling in the Greenville, South Carolina area, I'd love to help you through that process and find a home that you really love. All my info is on the screen, so shoot me an email at meredith@gvlbucketlist.com and let's connect to talk about your goals, your timeline, and how to make it all happen without making it overwhelming. If you're still figuring out whether Greenville's truly the right fit, make sure to go ahead and check out this video I've queued up next, where I rank some of the best and worst neighborhoods in Greenville, South Carolina right now. I'm Meredith Rigdon. I'm a real estate agent with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, CD and Joiner. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.